Here we go. All
Awesome.
right, away we go then.
So again, we're recording right now, so we can't say anything bad against the government.
They just make the internet signal crack. Then.
Yeah, they did that earlier. We were asking about Kakla Harris, and
all of a sudden the internet went down.
Yeah, it went down, just boom. So the overlords are listening.
Always.
Here we go.
Yeah, actually, always is correct. Ask your phone; it'll tell you.
Oh yeah.
Okay, before we hit this, we got Mike Zingali. Do you have a website or anything with your shooting team, or are you just
my Instagram?
And that is at
Mike Zingali.
Zingali, the common spelling.
Z is in zebra, Ingali.
Because I'll put it on the podcast thing. I'll have to spell it correctly.
It's the common spelling, like Rahagi.
Exactly. I need a lot of help with both those words. All right. I'm ready when you're ready.
Send it.
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of Firing Line Radio Show. This is Philip Naiman. Hope you're having a great day out there today. And today I have with me on this show the champion, the Grand Poobah, the Western National Division Intergalactic Carbine 223 556 champion from the West End Gun Club rifle match, sponsored by a firearms company that doesn't sponsor the show. But anyway, I've got Mike Zingali in here, folks. If you haven't met him, he's a fun guy. I've got to shoot with him out there several times. Mike Zingali, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you today, sir?
Good. You can also follow him on his Instagram account. He's got you got more than Megan the Stallion Instagram followers, I think there. So this is Mike, or at Mike Zingali on Instagram, at Mike Zingali, Zingali. And you can follow him there for all of his antics. How you doing this morning, Mike?
It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Where's the neighborhood?
Working in Orange County out here in Irvine.
Well, our studio is in Sad Burning Ghetto. That's where Dan is joining us in the engineering room. I'm actually at a home studio right now, so I prefer not driving into Sad Burning Ghetto. Any opportunity I can to avoid said place, I do try and do it. Mike, you've been involved in competition shooting for quite some time. So why don't we back into that here? How did you start?
So I just started plinking around probably 7 years ago or so. Got my first rifle, my first pistol, just nothing major, just your basic static range shooting. And then probably 3 years ago, my cousin is actually one of the match directors at West End, started bugging me, like, hey, come shoot a match. And I gave him every excuse that I hear from everybody else that I try to invite. Like, I don't have the right gear, I don't have the time, or I'm too busy, or I don't have ammo, or this, that, and the other. And finally, I just sucked it up and went. And I've been hooked.
And what was your first match?
My first match was actually just a rifle only match at West End.
Kind of like the one you just won.
Yeah, but it wasn't a big one. It was just a generic 3-gun match, but it was a rifle only match. It wasn't sponsored by anybody. It was just a little local match.
And so what was that like? I mean, so when somebody says, well, I'm shooting a match, I think a lot of people have an idea that this is a complicated thing, or it's really stressful, oh my gosh, everybody's watching, I don't want to be that guy or whatever, but they're really laid back. That's my experience, is everybody's there just to have a good time and to relax, and just, they're going to shoot. And hey, if you shoot yourself in the foot, we are going to laugh. So don't do that. But it's pretty much a pretty easy event. It shouldn't be a high pressure thing for anybody.
No, as long as you're safe, you're going to have a good time.
Well, yeah. Again, we always like to go home with OEM issued orifices. We don't want to add any at any particular time. So if you start with whatever the number is you start with, make sure you go home with no more.
Yeah.
I shouldn't touch that one. Yeah. Anyway, so explain what a rifle match basically looks like.
So it's 6 stages of fire. Every stage is around 30.
Say maybe the
30.
first one, the first simple one that you went to.
It was just a generic 3-gun match, but it was really one gun, targets anywhere from 5 yards to about 200. A lot of steel, a lot of paper, nothing. I mean, the match director at the time back then, this guy named James, it was pretty low key. It was a lot less technical. It was more running and gunning and a lot less remembering, like the stages that are now.
I think that's a good point. One of the things whenever I shoot IDPA that I pride myself in is accumulating points. They didn't tell me that you're not supposed to get a lot of extra points. I thought that was a good thing. So I've got zeros on all the targets plus 12. I'm like, yeah, that's good. What was a 12 for? Oh, you stepped over the line here. You didn't clear the targets in the right order. You had your tongue hanging out your mouth when you were firing, whatever it is. You didn't reload, or you reloaded on the move, not behind cover. It's like, okay, lots of little things trip you up and give you points, which is also like my golf score, where I'm higher than everybody else. I mean, it's, you play sports, you want to have a lot of points, and then now we don't want points. I can't connect that. I'm still going to score every chance I get. That's just the way it is. So we excel on that. And like for golf, right? Or even for the IDPA, I get more shots per stage than the other guy. So you look at the cost of the course, and my cost per shot is actually less because I have more shots than like the guy who fired the whole thing in 12 shots, was done. And it took me 37. My cost per shot is way lower than his. I am a value shooter compared to that guy. And, so however you need to spin it to make yourself a winner, folks, I think is what we're saying here. There's always an angle you can find, right?
Yep. Just go have a good time. It's all fun and games.
Yeah. Every day's a PR.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your first time out there, you're going to get a PR. Yeah. I just came back from my big hunting trip, and the guides were asking me, they said, hey, what, we're sheep hunting. And so what kind of sheep do you want? I said, dude, I just want a PR. I'm like, well, what else have you shot? I haven't. So this one's going to be my PR.
They're all. Yep.
Exactly. We're going to be good at that. My personal record is absolutely intact. So you've been shooting about 7 years, competing for about 3. What was it that hooked you into the competition side?
I'm just competitive in nature. I mean,
you're that guy?
Yeah, I can do it better. I can do it faster. I can do it, just competitive in nature, and just, I like shooting guns. It's just an awesome hobby that I have. And you mix those two together, and I wish I could do it every day.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's say that you're a brand new shooter, all right? And I guess it's theoretically possible if you're a brand new shooter, like, I don't know, Bob Munden, maybe you can show up and win the thing. But chances are you're probably not. I don't think you would go to a golf tournament your first go round and expect to win everything, right? You want to just have a hot dog and a beer at the turn and move on. So when you're coming to your first events, I don't think you should try and put too much pressure on yourself other than to be safe.
Yeah. That's
the key. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's key. As long as you're safe, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah. So, there's a couple different things that come into nature of being safe when you are shooting, especially in a new match. So there's a couple of areas where guys get themselves in trouble. So do you have some tips for that?
Just keep your finger out of the trigger guard when you're reloading, when you're moving. Keep in mind the 180 rule that all ranges have. That's pretty much it. I mean, just, especially if it's your first time there, just go slow, get your hits, especially at West End Gun Club. Everybody's so friendly. They're going to help you. They're not going to let you go first. And there's plenty of people going in front of you that you can watch.
Okay, so when you say they're not going to let you go first, that sounds like they're being rude, but that's not exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it gives you an opportunity to see how the stage should be shot.
Exactly. And that's probably one of my favorite things, is bringing new people to the matches. And I invite people every month to come, hey, it's your first time. It's okay. I have all the gear. I have the guns. I mean, just come, just show up and you'll have a good time. I promise.
So a typical stage. So here's the way this works. Your gun's on your hip. We'll start from that. Okay. You've got your magazines loaded. You're behind the line, and they call out Zingali. walk somebody through a typical stage. Maybe let's start with a pistol stage, then we'll go to 3-gun, then we'll go to what you just dealt with.
So I've been doing this for a while, and there's no two stages that are the same. So I mean,
Right, but I mean the flow.
Yeah. So I mean, some stages you start with an unloaded gun, some stages you start with a loaded gun. Sometimes your gun is staged on a table and your mags are staged on another table, and you have to pick up your gun and then go get your mags. I mean,
Jumping jacks in between.
Yeah. It could be a combination of that. But once you get your firearm ready, you're waiting at the line, the RO will come up, say shooter ready, stand by, give you a little beep, then it's go time.
So
And then-
getting the gun ready, okay? Because again, if you've never done this before, right, you're kind of looking to walk somebody through the way to do that. What are they going to call? What are the commands, right?
So they'll call the person that's up, they'll call the shooter on deck, and they'll call the shooter in the hole, just so you know that if you're in the hole, you're on deck, you need to have your mags loaded, you need to have your eyes, your ears, you need to have all your gear ready to go because you're coming up.
And there's probably what, 6 or 8 people on your squad, 5 or 6 maybe.
Usually 9 or 10, sometimes
10?
12.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's say that there's 10 people and they're talking to 3 of them. Okay. So here's one thing that I like to emphasize is to be the right guy, not that guy. There's the shooter. Okay. Shooter's got to listen to the RSO. He's up on deck, or he's up. Then the next guy is on deck. He needs to have all his gear squared away. His magazines should be loaded. They should be on his belt. His gun is ready. He's watching this next stage, right? So he understands the course of fire. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the third guy had better be going through his gear, make sure that his magazines are jacked and he's ready.
Exactly.
The other 7 guys in this scenario, if they're good people, will have target tape on their legs and they will help everything. One guy might help somebody pick up this brass if he wants it, but the other 5 or 6 walk out there, tape the targets as fast as you can. Because if you leave it down to 1 guy or 2 guys, number 1, they start to get irritated at you. Number 2, it just takes too long. And so if you are not shooting on deck or in the hole, you should be taping targets or resetting, helping in any way, because that makes everybody's day go faster.
Absolutely.
And they won't let you win if you don't do that. Okay. So I think that's the etiquette part on that. So you've got let's explain what is a good rig. Now, not, the $5,000 scenario, but what's a good rig for somebody to start out with?
Bring what you
got.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you have. Bring, as long as you have a good holster, enough mags and mag pouches, eyes and ears.
All right, so we'll talk about those specifically on that. Folks, this is Philip Naiman with Firing Line Radio Show. Go to gab.com/Firing Line Radio if you want to get in on our giveaways and podcasts. That's where we're going to be posting this, as a matter of fact. I'm with Mike Zingali. You can find him at Mike Zingali on Instagram. We'll be right back after this. I didn't see my chat there, buddy. What happened?
I don't know. I sent it.
All right.
You have the chat open?
Yeah, it didn't open. It's on the side now. We're good.
That was about 12
Operator
minutes.
error.
So we're way over 12. That would be a minute and a half. So I'll give you 9 minutes this segment.
You see the chat window there, Mike?
It came up and it said the break in 30 seconds. I did see something come up there for a minute.
Okay. You want to open your window so you don't make a mistake like I did. Yeah, it's my first show. What do I know?
Yeah.
Why do you know? It's a Zoom thing. It's a constant learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you ready? Segment 2?
Yes.
Oh, we lost Philip. I guess we'll wait. Where'd he go? Did we miss the rapture? Oh, he's back. Turn your head.
Daniel?
Yeah. You ready?
Yes, sir.
You can't hear us, Philip? We hear you, Philip. Did we lose?
guys there?
Did you lose us? We're here.
We're
You
here.
unplugged your headphones somehow. He unplugged his headphones somehow.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello.
All
Hello.
right,
Hello. Hello.
there you go.
It was a headphone issue.
There's something weird on the. Maybe we need to re-record the those intros, because when we're doing it on here, we hear like the beginning and then a 10-second gap, and then it starts again. Do you think we need to re-record those intros?
I don't know. I don't not on my end because I'm sending it to you. But if you need it for your end,
Probably. I don't know why, but if you're on the Zoom link, you'll hear it cut out completely.
that's an upload. That's probably my internet connection if it drops out. Or I mean, it could be either end.
It's
The
always
upload
it's always
speed
on
is
the
much
first one.
slower. It's the upload speed is always slower than the download speed.
Right, but
That's kinda weird
it
how it
always
works.
happens on our first segment
Interesting.
in particular.
That's weird. Weird. I don't know.
All right. Well, whenever Mike's ready to join us,
I'm ready. Waiting on you guys.
he's on Grinder, I think.
Nah.
All right, here we go.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick.
Hey, folks, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. This is Philip Naiman. Hope you're having a great day out there, and I hope you're heading over to Bullseye Sports Guns and Ammo in Riverside, California. Now, Vince has been a longtime sponsor of this show, and as a matter of fact, last week we were out there on Saturday, did a little interview with Big Ed Hoffman at Bullseye Sports Guns and Ammo in Riverside. He was signing his book, Experience Matters, Here's Mine. So a lot of events going on there. Vince has always got something for sale, on sale, and some great prices. So check him out at bullseyesport.com. He's between Arlington and Central off of Brockton. 951-823-0211, bullseyesport.com for their website. They're even on Instagram, and they do a lot of deals. Always some good stuff coming in. I know he's got a bunch of Glocks on their way. I just saw that the other day, and some other very special things. So bullseyesports.com, bullseyesport.com. And if I haven't said it before, 951-823-0211. Hey, Mike, welcome back to the show.
Hey.
You're working today, and you're a fireman. So I hope there's nothing burning in the background, and you're just so focused on our show. You're letting the smoke whiff through, and, hope we're okay with that. It's not like you're PG&E, right?
Nah, I'm actually a technician.
Ooh.
I don't actually put out any fires.
We all put out fires, just different kinds.
Touche.
Okay. Hey, so we're talking about competition shooting. And the reason I brought you on is I've got to shoot with you a couple of times. You're a very fast shooter. And that's obvious because you just won the Turner's match here at West End Gun Club at West End Gun Club this last Saturday, I think it was, right? Or was it 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in Wyoming. I would have kicked your butt, but I was in
Nope.
Wyoming that weekend. We'll never know. Every now and then a blind squirrel finds a nut. You just don't know what happened. Anyway, I've got to shoot with him before. He's a lot of fun. He's very, very fast. Usually I've shot, I think, 3 gun with you. I don't think I've shot non-surgery, but I think I've limped through every stage I've ever shot with you. But anyway, he's a lot of fun. We're talking about people who are starting in this. And I want to just bring that up because it is easy to start. It really is a low barrier to entry. If you have a firearm, you got a Glock or an M&P or whatever you've got out there, 1911, all those things will work. So, if you got a semi-automatic pistol and you want to start shooting, or if you got an AR-15 or even a carbine rifle, or even you could shoot it with an M1A if you want, or an AR-10. You could shoot even an AK. You won't hit anything, but you could try with the AK. There are some precision targets out there that you might spend a while at. And I tease that to all of my AK friends. You know who you are, both of you. So let's talk about somebody coming out there for the first time. They're going to need a good holster. Now, I was just on the CCW Safe podcast, and we talked a lot about that for concealed carry, how important a holster is. What type of a holster would you recommend for somebody who's going to start getting into this?
So it depends. If you're shooting something like USPSA, it's going to be a little bit different than what you need.
Explain what that is. What is USPSA?
So USPSA is just strictly a pistol sport. And you start with the pistol in the holster and you immediately take it out and do the whole stage with
That's
the
more
gun.
like a race gun type situation, right? You're not worried about retention. It's not a concealed carry. It almost looks like a space rig. The fastest holsters basically have a pin in the barrel and a little clip around the trigger guard, and don't trip while you're walking with them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
that's a high end. That's a high end high end race gun type competition. The people who are in that are shooting like 38 supers or 9mm minors or something like that. Very low recoil, super high fast, and that's something we might want to talk about, because a lot of guys get depressed. They see somebody like you going. Now, obviously, you're a big guy. You can hold the gun down, but shooting that fast and keeping the gun down, they're like, geez, I've got my Glock 19 and I can't do that. Well, there's a bit of a difference in the mechanics of the firearms and even in the ammunition that you're shooting, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the perks of shooting. You could literally make any modification to your firearms, almost any modification, to help you win.
And so what would those modifications be?
Magwell, huge magazines.
Okay. So why is a magwell important? You're talking about enlarging it and.
Yeah. Just to help you reload faster.
Okay. I mean, because you're not looking at your reloads, right? You're moving on the run.
Yep.
So, and that's a fairly inexpensive modification anybody can do on their pistol is opening up the magwell, or even putting a funnel on the bottom of it, right?
Exactly. Mine's huge. Can't miss it.
Okay. So that's one thing. You said large magazines. Now in California, obviously, you bought them all during Freedom Week.
Of course.
Right. Or you own them since whenever.
Exactly.
And that's fine. Now in competition, it's on you. I mean, if you show up with something stupid, right? I want people to hear this. If you show up with something you shouldn't own at a competition, it's not a private event. You don't know who's there. The guy next to you could be ATF, right? So you're like, hey man, I'm going to win this competition. I cut this 9mm carbine rifle down to 10 inches because I'm a smart guy. You're an idiot, right?
Yeah.
So make sure that everything, and I would only say that you should only own anything that is legal in the state that you are in, and in your mental state too. So be aware that this is a public competition, and don't do something stupid. Don't file down your sear thinking, wow, this resets really quick. And then accidentally, while you're shooting it, you're going bang, bang, bang. Look, that's a mistake. That's stupidity. That could be a felony. You just don't want to do that, right? You agreement on that?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. So make sure that everything you own is legal. Your magazines, there's other stages too. Like some are limited. So that means like only 10 rounds.
Yes.
In the classification that you're in.
Mm.
So if you've got a stock production gun, you got a Glock 19 with a 10-round magazine, you want to be in the limited class when anything that you're shooting, correct?
If you're running a stock gun, it's going to put you in the production class.
Class.
Does limit.
So obviously I'm confused on the classes. So what are the differences?
So I don't know them all. I don't. So
why do I have you on this show?
I know open division. That's where I like to play.
Open is everything.
Open is you can do whatever you want. Chances are good to go.
All right.
So production division, as far as USPSA, production division is the bone stock gun, 10-round mags. Limited division will allow you up to 140mm mags. Actually measure the mags. It's not measured by how many rounds you put in it. It's measured by the size of the actual magazine itself. And then open division will allow you to go up to 170mm magazine. And depending on the style of magazine, you can get anywhere from 28 to 30 rounds in it, in your pistol.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's also a carry optics division, which will allow you optics, reflex sights of some sort. Limited division, you're limited to iron sights. Same with production division. Open division, you're allowed to have a dot as well.
What do you prefer?
Open division all day.
No, I mean, but your optics, you're dealing with the dots, right? You're not doing iron sights.
No, I started off with the iron sights. I know how to use them. I'm decent with them, but the dots is so much faster. And that's kind of, the whole name of the game. Go fast.
No, so it's go fast. Now talk about accuracy, because there is a penalty for accuracy, but you could shoot a perfect score, right, and lose the match.
Yes.
You can shoot and miss a ton of times and win the match. How is that possible?
So it's kind of different in USPSA and 3-gun. So USPSA, it's time and points. So if you hit the, obviously the center of the target, there's no points added. That B ring, the Charlies and Deltas, also add points. But in 3-gun, it's 2 anywhere on the paper to neutralize it, or 1 in the A zone. So there's not really as many points in 3-gun. That's kind of why I stick to that. It's a lot faster paced.
Hey folks, this is Philip Naiman with Firing Line Radio Show. Check us out at gab.com/Firing Line Radio. And we're doing some giveaways there. Arkin scopes, Macmillan MC3 stocks, bunch of other stuff. Maglite. Oh, I even got a Maglite code. Maglite. Go on their website, type in Firing Line 20, and you get a 20% discount on all that stuff. So we'll talk about that more coming up. Here with Mike Zingali, the winner, the champion of the Carbine contest out here at West End Gun Club. We'll be right back after this.
When are you coming to the next match? You gonna catch the one in October?
I think my daughter's getting married that day. Yeah.
Shit. All right.
Look, October.
So you still have to go to the match. What's more important?
So I'm leaving October. I've got my elk hunt coming right back for the wedding. And then we're in November. It's like that. October's gone.
What about November? I'll see you at the November match.
What's the date?
Do you want to shoot 3-gun or you want to shoot pistol?
Either, both.
The pistol match is on the 2nd Saturday, and the 3-gun match is on the 4th Saturday. Whatever date that may fall on.
Probably do the 2nd, the 4th. I don't know. They're teeing me up for another knee replacement, so that might be the end of November, which would be the end of my year.
I'll just push you around the wheelchair. All right.
Remember I did that, hobbling out there.
You have to do it again?
Yeah, it's the other leg. It's the other leg. So yeah, I shot that one. I had the arm surgery and I shot the one all left-handed single. That was a long day. Never shot that much left-handed in my life. Added up, cumulative.
Were
you able to do anything? I mean, that would be interesting to.
Well, I had to shoot left-handed, and only one hand. I couldn't even use my right hand was in a sling. So I was just out. I just wanted to shoot. So I thought, you know what? That's probably when am I ever going to be forced to shoot that much left-handed unless I'm injured? So there you go. But hobbling on a new knee out there, just, you got to squat, you got to slide. And that sucked.
Yeah. So. That's fun. Better than sit on the couch.
It was. I did it. Just slow. I saw the videos and I'm like, God, that looks stupid. All right. So let's talk about the pistols, getting started in the pistols. Let's talk about getting started on the rifles.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
Spartans, lay down your weapons. Come and get them.
Hey folks, Milan Lave, Saturday, Philip Naiman. Hope you're having a great day out there. I'm here with Mike Zingali. He's on Instagram at Mike Zingali. Zingali is the common spelling, Zingali. Mike, I hope you can figure that one out. Spell it yourself. Mike Zingali on Instagram. He is the champion of the Turner's Carbine Challenge, which is kind of a big deal out here in the West Coast. So, Mike, you were out there 2 weeks ago at West End Gun Club. You shot this thing. It's a carbine course. And now let's talk about people who want to start shooting more. And what's the carbine portion talk about? We talked about the pistol. Let's talk about the carbine.
Okay. I mean, the basics is a rifle with a good 0 on it, handful of magazines, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you could always load mags out of your pocket. if you need spares, but it's eyes and ears, and that's really about it. It's pretty basic when it comes to just a rifle match.
Okay, so this is radio, so we have to talk about the parts that make up what a good rifle is. So you're talking about a carbine, an AR-15 platform for most of the guys. Do you see anybody out there shooting AKs or SKSs?
Yeah, there was a handful of AKs. I would say there's 3 or 4 of them. I mean, they're always out there.
How many guys are out there shooting?
I want to say there was about 80 at the last match.
And 3 or 4 chose AK. So, I mean, and the reason I say this is a competition match and accuracy is important, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And how accurate is your AR-15?
MOA.
So there you go. Now, yeah, and you're engaging targets from 5 yards to 200 yards. Are you changing your optics at all?
So I run, like I said earlier, open division. So I have a LVPO on top, which is a low variable power optic, which is a 1:8 with an offset red dot. So I have my red.
Explain what that means.
Yeah. So on my close engagements, I use the red dot, which is mounted on the side of my rifle. For the longer distance targets, I use the magnified optic on the top of my rifle. Just to speed things.
What's the difference? What would you consider a short range versus a time for magnification?
Usually it depends on the size of the target as well. So usually anything inside of 25 yards, I'm using usually anything inside of 50 yards, depending on the size of it, I'll use my red dot, and anything that I'll use the magnified optic.
So your magnification on your scope goes 1:8. So let's just, in this scenario, you have 6 or 7 targets between 0 and 50 yards. Then you have 6 or 7 between 50 and 100, and some that are past that. So when you're thinking through the stage like this, you're like, okay, I'm going to run my red dot first 6, transition to your scope. Now, when you're shooting your red dot, because it's canted at the side, what does that look like? Explain to somebody why it's on the side and how you transition.
It's just a simple roll of the rifle into your cheek. I mean, it's super fast. It's super.
You're canting it. So you're going to cant from a straight vertical position. You're going to cant it towards your left shoulder if you're right-handed, and that allows your eye to look to the right side of your scope to where you have your sight mounted, right?
Yeah, I got plenty of pictures of my rifle on my Instagram if you want to check that out. If you have any real questions about it, but it's super fast. It's probably the fastest way to do it. But I usually keep my my magnified optic around 3, just depending on what's planned in the stage. But 3 will cover me out to, probably 150 yards or so, depending on the size of the target again.
And so when, here's another thing. So coming from precision rifle world, coming from the rifle hunting world, right? I like to pretend I'm a precision rifle guy, but I'm just a long range hunting guy. But the size of the target matters. Now, one of the things that hampered me when I first started shooting in these competitions is you don't need to hit the exact center of the target. You just need to hit the target.
Exactly.
And that's, even in learning your first couple of combat classes, right? If you're a good pistol shooter, you want to show, hey, look, I've got this nice little group going in the center of the guy, but you're slower. And the speed factor is huge. And I think that there's a mental transition you have to make between shooting quickly into a target versus shooting accurately at a target.
Exactly.
You want to talk about that?
That's probably the main reason I prefer USPSA or IPA. There's no scoring zones really. It's 2 holes in the paper anywhere. So I mean, if you clip the target in the corner of the shoulder and another one down in the lower corner of the belly, as long as there's 2 holes in that paper, that target is neutralized. So you can literally run by that target full speed. As long as you poke 2 holes in it on the way, doesn't matter where, you're good to go.
Does a bayonet count?
So actually at my last 3-gun match, there was a guy out there with he brought his Arasaka and it had a bayonet on it. And there was a target about 3 yards on the other side of this barricade. And he stuck the target with the bayonet and blew a hole through the target. Big. It was
it was funny, but the guy setting up the stage is like, great. go fix the target.
He asked permission first. He's like, "Hey, I think I'm going to bayonet this close target right here." And we looked around and everybody was like, "Go for it, man! You got total permission."
Took a lot of tape to cover that muzzle blast.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny. Interesting. Brought a bayonet. Again, guys, think that through. If you're in California, think that through. Okay, so we're talking about the carbines. How about magazine changes? So you have the same kind of production class, right? 10-round magazines versus others. What are the restrictions on AR-15s in the categories?
So the way it goes in 3-gun, they have, or at least in the range that I go to, there's a California compliant division, which limits you to 10-round mags. There's a limited division.
Now, in the California compliant division, do you have any optics choices?
There is a California compliant limited division and a California compliant open.
Optics. Okay.
And beyond those two, there's a limited, attack ops division, an open division, and there's probably one more that I'm forgetting. But I know that the only one that doesn't have any restrictions on the magazines is open division. I want to say limited and tac ops. Don't quote me on this. I want to say they're 30 or 40 rounds in the mag.
I'm not going to quote you on this. Everybody listening is going to quote you on this.
Okay. Well, I have no, like I said, I shoot open division. I run a big drum in mine. So
keep shooting. I never run out of ammo magically.
Yeah, but actually the last rifle match, I want to say 4 of the 6 stages were unloaded starts and required a mandatory reload, which is something I hate doing because I shoot open. I mean, why reload if you have enough ammo in there? But
so mandatory reload. So you start with an empty gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put in a 10-rounder, eject it, put in your drum and run.
that would probably work.
Again, it's these are the rules. Then everybody figures out how to game it, right, and go from there.
That would totally work.
You just get your drum in there as fast as you can,
Yeah.
which you bought during Freedom Week.
Absolutely.
It's a freedom drum.
Yes, sir.
May it ring forever. What about barrel length? Does that matter on a competitions like this?
No. I was running a 16-inch for a while. That's probably, absolutely the most common. There's a couple guys that run an 18-inch. You see some guys with a 14.5 that's pinned and welded. I actually run a 13.7 that's pinned and welded because I'm not really looking for the range. I mean, like I said, the furthest targets that we shoot out there, 200 yards. So a 13.7 is plenty. It's a lot easier to maneuver that gun around a lot of the hallway stages that they have. So I prefer
and obviously, we're not dealing with compensators here in California, but you do have a muzzle brake on the end of it.
Yes, sir.
And that's just basically to send blast towards everybody around you, right? Just to be obnoxious with the 223. Because if you don't have a muzzle brake on your 223, how could you ever shoot that massive caliber? The gas operated massive or even piston, boy, knock you backwards. You better have a muzzle brake on that sucker. It does help to keep down on target, but we should all be able to handle a 223 semi-automatic and not cry.
I mean, it helps. It really does.
No, it'll help you stay on target. But it seems to me it's kind of funny when you're at the range, you're sitting there on the bench, and it's like this brake goes off next to you, and you're like, what the heck? You look and it's like 223. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yep, I'm one of those guys.
Seems to be one of the most obnoxious brakes. Yeah, anyway. So I've just noticed that's kind of funny. So then they got to break out the 300 ROM just to show them what a brake should do. Then they leave. So you blow the stuff off their table. It's like, okay, now finally. Actually, that's one of my favorite things about football season is Sunday afternoons. I get the entire range to myself. So
nice.
Everybody else can watch football. I'm going to be out shooting anyway. So we're talking with Mike Zingali here. He's at Zingali at Mike Zingali on Instagram. He's got a pretty active page there if you want to find out more about him and his competitions. There's a lot of posting of him running and gunning. So it's kind of fun to watch, see what he's doing out there. We're going to come back here, talk about this specific match and how he ended up as the Grand Poobah champion of all time at the Turner's Carbine match here at West End Gun Club. We'll be right back after this. Right to the water buffalo hat, the grand poobah of all time.
Nah, I only got first in my division. I didn't win the high overall.
What the hell am I having a show for? Jeez.
I still got a medal.
Dan, I said, get us some winners here. Dan?
You're lucky. We get anybody.
It's true. What's that
All right.
in the background there? You playing
The phone ringing.
video games again?
I mean,
Yeah, that's the phone ringing.
Yeah. So how's your car warranty?
Yeah, really.
It's one of my favorite memes about, of course, in America, we make fun of everybody. So everything is laughing matter. So we leave $82 billion worth of arms with the Taliban. And the meme is showing the guy that's Taliban answering the cell phone. It's like, hey, your Hummer's car warranty needs.
there's some good memes coming out of that. I mean, it's a fucked up situation, but there's some good memes.
It is the worst situation. You got to think about this, Mike. We have a force of 2,500 people. Why do we have 600,000 small arms there? We're not going to. So if we have to go back and go to war over there, we're not going to ship Marines over without weapons. What? You get on a plane. Okay. Well, I guess they'll have something for me when I get off in the hostile zone as I'm parachuting in. I hope they have it. I hope it's at the U store.
And
Right. It just that whole thing, man. I think that Barack Hussein Obama and China Joe Biden, all those arms are going to destabilize Pakistan, and then they'll have nukes.
oh yeah, it's a terrible decision. This is a terrible situation all the way around.
Well done, you ignoramuses.
Yep.
And that's being nice because we're on radio.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Hit it.
Here we go. Final section.
Yes! Great hunter. Yes? Fine figure of a man, yes? Yes?
Yes.
That is all you need to know for now.
Hey, folks, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. Philip Naiman here. Get us at gab.com. So, as we all know, fake book is not Second Amendment friendly. They've locked me out of my own account twice. Look, it's going to be, we've got a lot of people in the group page there. You guys need to move. You need to move over to gab.com/Firing Line Radio because one day we're going to wake up and they're just going to say, you're screwed. You get zero. No access. We're shutting down all Second Amendment stuff. Don't run any ads on Facebook. You just move away from that platform. Like, you want to keep a personal account there and show them what you ate for dinner. I don't care, but you need to be over at gab.com. It's where all the Second Amendment stuff's going to be. You need to be over there so we can talk freely and not get locked out of our own stinking accounts. Folks, Philip Naiman here with Mike Zingali. Mike Zingali is the Grand Poobah Carbine champion of the Turner's West End Carbine contest of the Intergalactic Californians in the People's Republic of Occupied California. Congratulations. Does it say all that on the medal? Because you look like a rapper if it says all that on the medal.
That would be cool. Maybe next year.
Hey, okay, so tell us about this specific event. Obviously, it's sponsored by Turner's. They've got a lot of footprint out here. West End Gun Club's a great place. I've been a member there for many, many years. And this is in the back of the property where they have all the berms. So run us through, what did this thing look like?
So it's 6 stages, 6 different bays. There was 3 littler bays and then 3 actually quite a bit longer bays towards the end of the range. They actually had a few spinners out there. And if you're familiar with those, with the steel plate on top, plate on the bottom, and you have to get this thing to rotate all the way over.
And most people think of a spinner like a star. So explain this one again.
So this one has a plate on top, a plate on bottom, and you actually have to hit the plate on the top, and get it to rock back and forth and get the spin completely over.
So how many shots does that typically take?
Depends on the ammo that you're shooting. So I actually had some 68 grainers. I had a couple mags of 68 grain.
Just for that?
Just for those spinners. And So the spinners weren't required for the stages, but if you did take the time to spin the spinner, it was 30 seconds off of your time. So it was kind of a risk if you were to go for it.
So so typically from what I've seen on a spinner stage is the top target is smaller.
Yes.
The bottom target is larger.
Yep.
But the bottom target being larger is heavier. So you don't get as much movement if you hit it as opposed to hitting the top one.
Exactly.
So what is your strategy on a spinning stage?
Double taps as fast as you can. I mean, get planted, get on target, get your footwork right, and make your double taps need to hit the same place on that plate, and it pushes it over so much faster. And your time.
So do you switch like top target, bottom target, top target, bottom target? Is that what you're doing?
Exactly. And your time is key. I mean, you have to watch that thing, because if you shoot it when it's coming back and you hit the wrong plate at the wrong time,
It slows you down.
It's going to stop dead in its tracks, and you have to start over. Then you're wasting time, and it was pointless to shoot at it.
See, I think it's a good point, because you're like, hey man, I'm really hammering this thing. Well, you could be working against yourself, even though you're making the right shots.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how about the star? Did you have any of those wonderful things to deal with?
So they did have a Texas star out there. So that's 5 steel plates on a star, and when you hit one of the plates, it spins because one of the plates fell off. But I don't know if you're familiar with the Texas star that they have at West End Gun Club. So the steel plates on the end of the star actually hold clays in them, and
Right.
the idea, shoot the clay out, and you're good to go. Well, if you hit the metal ring that's holding the clay,
Then you have to finish the
whole star starts spinning because it's unbalanced. So that was kind of tricky. They had one of those out there, and of course,
how many yards?
I want to say about 50 yards. It wasn't super far, and there was a VTAC barricade to shoot off of at that, which was nice. It was actually a couple guys that went prone. But I just took a knee, and actually the first shot that I took, I knocked the steel off, and the thing started fucking spinning. And so I had to, shoot these clays out of this Texas star while they were spinning. Luckily, I hit the rest of them.
So if you knock the other steel off, does that count? Or do you have to break the clay?
For every steel that you knock off, it's like 10 seconds onto your time. So you're not supposed to shoot the steel. You're supposed to shoot the clay out of the steel.
You should have gone prone.
Yeah. Bro.
Can you put any attachments on? Can you throw a bipod on your gun out there?
In open division, you absolutely can.
Any of the others?
Not that I'm aware of. I think just open division.
Interesting.
I probably should have a couple bipods that are quick detail, but the rest of that stage, you're running down little hallways and blasting stuff all over the place. So, I mean, having a bipod hanging off your gun would slow you down big time.
Yeah, well, I guess so. But if it's an Accutech bipod, it could actually speed you up. So, do you ever think about that?
That's exactly what I have.
There you go. I saw it on your post with your rifle up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes some good stuff. Old Felipe, he was on the show last week, as you know.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, so those are some of the things you're talking about, moving down the hallways. Now, these hallways are made of like netting, right? Plastic netting.
Correct.
So you can
Correct.
see through them. Are there any parameters, like in IDPA, you have to shoot the farthest target first, or as you pie, just as it presents, any order?
It's usually as you see them. It'll say, when you get to the stage, there'll be a stage description. It'll say, engage these targets from zone A, engage these targets from zone B. And sometimes it'll just say, engage the targets as you see them. So unless it's written otherwise in the stage description, it's as you see them, put holes in them. As long as you don't break the 180, it's pretty fair game.
And the other thing is you're running for time.
Yes.
A lot of guys don't realize this, but sometimes they come close to it. So you've got a carbine and you're shooting forward towards the back of the stage, and then you're running at a diagonal angle to the next one. So that's fine. The gun's downrange. Then you're running 90 degrees from that to the next one, and you're right-handed. And all of a sudden the barrel of your gun kind of feels like you want to run, and where's everybody at? Everybody's you're pointing back towards the seating section, which is not a good thing. You're DQ'd and you're off the stage. So mindfulness of that gun, especially when you're moving from right to left, is very easy for some guys to get tripped up. So you just have to make sure that your barrels are, and the stage officers, a lot of times they'll say, hey, watch this, watch that. Just, they don't want the barrel swinging their way.
Yeah.
You can't count on them for that. You are in charge of your rifle or your pistol or anything of that nature, but you just have to make sure as you're moving that it's always down. The pointy end is down range, never back at your friends. Even if they're not your friends, you shouldn't have your pointy end hanging back there. So there's a lot of different things that are going on that. You had 6 stages. What was the most difficult stage?
So I started on stage 5 because I was in stage squad 5.
Yeah.
It's usually the memory stages that get me. So stage 1 was a memory stage, and there was a lot of targets you could only see from certain positions, but they were like tucked in the back corner of the barrel. So, I mean, if you were there and you saw that target, you could totally take that target, but you're more looking at the 3 or 4 targets that they put as dummies literally right in front of you. So you're going to walk by there, blast those 3 or 4 dummies and forget about that guy down in the corner. And actually the memory stage 1, that was probably one of my better stages. I don't know why. I usually don't do too well on those, but hung in there.
So talk about the rapidity of firing, because you're watching some of these, you've got, well, let's talk about your carbine. Rapidity of fire comes down to the exact kind of a weapon that you're using, and you do have a brake on it, which does help. But what have you done as far as, you're not shooting a Smith & Wesson M&P off the shelf. So what have you done with your AR-15?
So I have a matched billet set. It's an upper, a lower, and a handguard from a company in San Diego called JL Billet. Check them out. They make really nice stuff. It's pretty much a parts build after that. It's a ballistic advantage barrel, Trinity 4 stock.
What kind of twist on it?
1 in 7. It's a government profile.
So it's a thinner barrel, 1 in 7 twist. What's important about that is if he wanted to shoot a heavier bullet, he's going to be able to stabilize it. A lot of guys will have a 1 in 14 or 16 or something like that, and you can only shoot the 40 grain bullets, which really do poorly at 300 to 400 yards if you have a stage or ever want to shoot that far out. So a 1 in 7 twist on a 223 is a really good idea.
Yeah, it's right in the middle of the road. It's a good place to be.
Well, it's not going to hurt you if you shoot a 40 grainer, but you could shoot a 77 or a 90 grainer if you wanted to.
Exactly, all day. Other than that, I'm rocking a lot of Sparrow Dynamics, the brake that I have, the trigger the grip that I have, just to keep it California compliant.
Which trigger do you have?
It's a Trigger Tech.
Yeah.
2-stage trigger.
And what do you have it set at?
About 2 pounds.
About 2 pounds. That's very
good.
Folks. There you go. All right. I'm not sure what that was all about, but anyway, folks, this is Philip Naiman. I'm coming to you at gab.com/firing line radio show. I want to thank my special guest, Mike Zingali. Mike Zingali, the Grand Poobah champion of the Turner's Classic, the West End Carbine match, which actually is, teasing about the name, but it's a big deal. He did a great job, and congratulations on that, Mike.
Thank you.
Now, let's get you out to the desert in a couple of weeks.
Let's go.
All right. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. God bless. Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that big 0 screen that popped up meant we were out of time.
Way over. Apparently, you're not seeing the chat.
Well, it says the same thing, so you can't tell if it's a section 1 or section 2. It doesn't scroll up or move.
Interesting.
So if you type the same thing, looks like it's the same thing. Maybe we'll say section 1, section 2.
All right.
Maybe I'll just get more time out of the station. So there you go.
No, you're just going to talk real fast. That's all.
Great.
That's what happens.
Makes it sound like Mickey Mouse. Hey, I think I texted you about the 2nd. Are you working on the 2nd? That's this Saturday.
This Saturday? I don't think so.
Well, we're heading.
Go for it.
Well, we're heading out to the desert to kill rock monsters. If you'd like to come.
Nice. I might be on call this weekend. I'm not scheduled to be on call, but I might be covering one of the other sects. So if I have to cover for him, then I won't be able to make it. But I will find out later today and I'll text you back.
Yeah, so we'll be meeting out, like I say, the location here, but east of Indio. You can either
Okay.
drive out there at 8 or be at my house at 7, and we'll all roll out together. So, and we can shoot out mile plus, or however far you want to shoot. We've got
Awesome.
targets. And the great part is nature provided them. We don't have to hike steel up the hill.
Nice. That's always a huge plus.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the rock mounds, we're making big rocks into little rocks and mid-sized rocks into smaller rocks. So
Perfect.
it's evolution in progress, a de-evolution. All right, thank you, man. Congratulations again, great job, and hope to be shooting out there with you soon.
Yeah.
If I can get my medical surgeries in order.
Yeah. Luck with that, man.
Thank you. All right, boss. Have a great day.
All right. Take care, partner.
Bye. Hey, Dan,
I'm right here.
in that fourth section, I think he had a slip up. Did you catch it?
No, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I think he dropped an F-bomb.
Oh, no. Okay, I'll find it.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, it wasn't, but I couldn't tell if you were on or not, but I made a note to tell you about it.
Well, thank you.
Well, yeah.
Keep your show on the air. We can't let that slip too often.
Not too often. We'll do that on the videos, not on the air. All right. Thanks, man.
Ready for promo?
Yep. Let me stop this.